Okay, we're up to the Mishnah on Kuf Lamed Zayin Amid Beis. We're in the middle of a sugya. If a father goes ahead and he writes over to his son in Hayom Ulach Amisa. So the halacha is that the father retains rights to the Paris, and the son owns the guf of the karka. That's how we got into the Kenyan Paris, Kenyan guf, and Reish Lakish. So we're continuing along with that theme. Okay. Kuf Lamed Zayin Amid Beis. Yeah, 137b. B. Okay. Right. You're finishing it. I said Kuf Lamed Zayin? Kuf Lamed Ches. Sorry, Kuf Lamed Ches. I'm sorry. Kuf Lamed Ches. So now the father, he has the rights to the Paris. So it says that the father, Av Toilish, it disattaches, and he feeds the Chomisha Yirtza to anyone he wants to, which seems to be pretty pashit, which seems to be pretty pashit. Like, what's the chiddush? He owns that. L'chor, if he owns it, he can do anything he wants with it, right? He can do anything what he wants with it. So the Bach in Reish Nun Zayin says the chiddush of this Reisha is that you shouldn't think that the father, right, that he gave it to his son and he left over himself is only kidei chayav. It's only what? For his basic necessity. And anything beyond that is not his. In other words, why in the world is he giving a present to his son? He's giving him everything and leaving over the Paris, ostensibly, so he should be able to survive. So anything beyond that, you think what maybe belongs to the son. Kamash Malon the Mishnah, according to the Bach, that no, it belongs to him totally, and he can do anything he wants with it. So Av Toilish Shemaichel L'chol Misha Yirtzeh. Umasha Niach, and when the father leaves, and Talush, he dies, he leaves over Paris. Harihu Shel Yarshim. It goes to the whole estate. So again, the son owns this land. The father harvested the crop. The father, Loyalenu, left this world. So you might think that since the land is owned by the son, that the produce should go to the son. Kimash Malon, it's owned by the father, and he bequeaths it to all of his children. So two dinim, right? The two dinim. The first din that he could do anything he wants with his Paris, and the second din that once they're cut, they're totally his. And if he dies, it's part of the estate, and it doesn't go to the son who owns the karka. And it doesn't go to the son who owns the karka. Says the Gemara, Talish in Dafka Talish, do we say it goes to the whole estate? Mechuber loy. So if it was mechuber, it would go to the son who owns the land, right? So in other words, it's mashma that it belongs to the son who owns the land. Kuf lamed tes lamed aleph. V'hatanya, we learned in a brisa, where if a person goes ahead, writes over all his land, he writes over to the son meyom lachamisa, and now the son sells it, guys. The son sells it. Good. The son sells it, and then the father dies. So what's the halacha? Shamin es hamechubarim loikeach. We take the Paris that are mechubar, and we go ahead, and he has to pay back the son. He has to pay back the son. That the loikeach is only zoicha in the karka itself. He's not zoicha in the Paris. Again, what's happening over here? A father went ahead. He gave over in his lifetime, sold over to his lifetime a parcel of land to his son. Consequently, he has the Kenyan Paris, son has the Kenyan Guf. The son sells the Kenyan Aguf. The father dies. Now, the father's Paris now are attached to the land of the Loikeach. According to you, that it belongs to the son, it should belong to the Loikeach. If you're telling me the one who owns the land, guys, the one who owns the land owns the Paris. So why are you telling me that Lekeach has to evaluate and pay it back? Why is he paying it back? He owns it. Guys, outside, one more time, outside. You're telling me that as long as it's attached to the ground, it belongs to the owner of the land. And that's why if the father dies and the Paris are attached, the son who bought the land gets it, not the other children. Why? Because it's attached to the ground. Good? So in the same case, just add one more shlav, one more level. The son, instead of keeping the land, sold it. So now the Loikeach has the Kenyan Aguf, and the father still has the Kenyan Paris. The father consequently dies. Now according to the way you learn pshat, what should the payers should be what? They should go to the owner. Yet we say over here, what are we saying? Shaman Lakeach. He has to go ahead and pay back the estate. So you have a stira. Vatanya Shaman es mechubarin Lakeach. Ula Lekasha. Kan bibnoi, kan be'acher. It depends. By a father, when a father goes ahead and sells the land, the guf to his son, and dies, his kavana is that the payers should go to what? To the son. He wants the payers to go to the son. Mashen came, once the son sold to somebody else, the father who owns the payers doesn't owe anything to that other lokeach. Memela, that's the difference. Where the father dies and the payers are attached and it's owned by the son, the father wants it to go to the son who owns the karka. Masha'en came when the son sold it already and it's attached to the ground. The father who's dying now and it was his payers doesn't want to go to what? To some stranger. So who does it go to? The estate. He goes ahead, you shum him, and it goes to the lokeach.
Halach is halach, then what he wanted to do, what his desire was.
That creates the halacha. The halacha is that he asks, why you one case in our Mishnah does it go to the kids? What's the difference? That's the difference. That's the difference. The difference is the halacha is when the son retains ownership and it's mechuba, he gets it. The halacha is when he sells it to somebody else, he doesn't get it. Okay. Says the next Mishnah. Okay, the final Mishnah in Cheskes Habatim. Cheskes Habatim. I'm on Ganset Semish tonight. Cheskes Habatim. It's also a long parak. It's also in this Masechta. Yeah. Haniach panim gedolim uketanim. He's nifta, right? He goes ahead. The father, he leaves over older children and younger children. Now, to keep in mind, the older children, they're into their dress, into the way they look. Younger children are more basic. They want food. They want food. Okay, so now, well, why do you say clothing makes the man? Or you are what you eat. I guess that's the Chulukadeus over here. So now, he leaves over Banim Gedolim Ukatanim. Ein HaGedolim Misparnasim, right? They don't, right? Al Yidei Katanim. They don't get from the estate, clothing unevenly, but they have to, make it up to the Katanim. Lo Katanim Nizoinim Al Gedolim, nor do the Katanim eat from the Nechasim of the father Al Gedolim. Ella, what do? Before the Chalukah, Ella, Cholkin B'Shava, they go ahead and they divide equally. They divide it equally. And then he'll take his clothing and the other one will take his food. Nasu HaGedolim, if the Gedolim get married, right, and they're taking money from the estate, Yisu HaKetanim, and the Ketanim also, as we'll see in the Gemara. Ve'im Amra Ketanim, Hari Anu Noisim, we Kederach She Sasem Atem, we want to get married like you want to get married. Ain't Shaim Lehem. The Gemara will explain this. It seems to be contradictory. We'll see it. Whatever the father gave the older sons are given to him. We'll see that in the Gemara, guys. But now, same Gemara, but with now females. So, Haniach banois gedailois ukatanos, eina gedailois misparnosais in their clothing from the nechasim of the father. Al yidei akatanos, v'lei akatanos and zainois al gedailois. Know that they get what? Their food. Ela chalkas b'shava. Same thing, they divide equally. This is speaking, of course, where there's no brothers, only girls. And nisu agadailus, if the gadailis get married, yisu akatanis, the katanis get married. V'im amru akatanis hari anu noisais kederach she nesasem atem. We want to get money from the estate for marriage like you did. Ain't shaimim lehem. We don't listen. We'll see what that means. Zeh chaim mibanos mibanim shabanis nizainos al habanim ve'ain nizainos al habanos. In other words, we know there's a type suba that the girls get as long as they're before the begeres, as long as they're right, they stay in the house and they get supported or arusa, they get supported from the estate. Mashen Kain, if they get the cheshbon abanos, the ein nizanes al habanos, but they won't get the estate was owned by bonus. They won't go ahead right and get sustained. Okay, says the Gemara. Amar Rava, says Rava, Hi Gadol Achi de Lovash ve'ichse mi Besa. There was this older brother who went ahead and he took from the estate. before the division, he took from the estate and bought himself a nice rekel, nice clothing. Says the Gemara, "Maida Ovid, but he did. He did what he did. He did what he did. But they can't. In other words, they can't take from the estate before it's divided. So you can't take clothing. So how is he able to take what? How is he able to take clothing? Ein misparnasim al katanim. Says the Gemara, Mas Nisan, our Mishnah is speaking b'shircha. Our Mishnah that said that you can't go ahead and take from the estate is speaking about shircha, a brother who's not, he's a batlin basically. You know, a batlin. He's a person who's not taking care of the younger children. When the father would die, the older child would go ahead, and take care of things. So it behooves the younger children that the older son should look well. Go to Men's Warehouse and wear nice clothing, right? And so it behooves them. So that's the case where he took from the estate and they didn't say anything, is because they'd be happy with that. Our Mishnah that says that they can't take from the estate is speaking about a shircha, a batlin. They don't gain by him being dressed well, since he's not going ahead and using his clothing in a positive way anyway, because he's not going ahead and taking care of the kids. Says the Gemara. So our Mishnah is speaking by a shircha. Says no shircha pshita. Of course, he can't take from the estate. It's good for the brothers that this older brother should not look like some type of varmint. Kamash Malon, that want that we let them look like a varmint and let us keep our money. Nasu gedolim yisu ketanim. So why did the Mishnah say, if the gedolim get married, the ketanim get married? And then it said, but if the ketanim say something, no, it was ambiguous. So the Gemara says my kama. Anytime the Gemara says my kama means it doesn't read well. It doesn't read well. So outside, guys, outside. Here's what it's going to say. Let's say the father died. They have the estate. Now it goes ahead, the gadol gets married. You know what the cotton says? Like, you took from the estate, now I want money to get married. And they say, Yisu akatanim, fine, no problem. No problem. What happens if the son got married in the lifetime of the father? The gadol got married in the lifetime of the father. Now, after the father's death, what does the cotton say? Hey, I should also got. And that we say no. That we say no. When he took from the estate after the period of the father, they're equal. But Mashen came, anything that he went ahead and expended when the father was alive, you don't say that. Says my comma. Amrav Yehuda comma. Nasu gedolim la'acha misas avihem. If the gedolim got married after the father's patira, yisu ketanim la'acha misas avihem. Then the ketanim also can get the same wedding. Aval nasu gedolim b'chai avihem. Underline b'chai avihem. In the lifetime of the father, the amru ketanim la'acha misas avihem. Underline after misas avihem. Let me get married the same way you did. Ain't shayim lehem. You don't listen. But the father gave him. That's it. That's how you does. It says the same thing, no?
That line's not there.
But it says ain't noises kedershin esatem atem. Ain't shayim lehem. It says ain't shayim lehem. Haniach banis gedolos ketanos. Shalach le'avua bar geniva l'rava. Okay, guys, outside Here's the shaila till the end of the parak. We know when a woman brings into the marriage a dowry, there's two possibilities. The one that is more common is nichsei miloig, and the one that's not so common is nichsei tzoyin barzel. Nichsei tzoyin barzel means it's like tzoyin barzel. He tells her, he guarantees whatever it's going to be, 10,000, 100,000, whatever it is, he guarantees it's like barzel. Mashen came next time he gets the kinyan payers. He can use it. She retains ownership of the property. Right? He could eat it up. Yep, he could eat it up. Now, let's say the woman dies. She predeceases a husband. And now the husband gets it. Is he getting it mitaris Yerusha, or is he getting it mitaris Lekeach, as if he bought it? Is he getting it mitaris Yerusha, or is he getting it mitaris Lekeach? My nafkamina, a bal chayv. If the woman had a chayv to pay up, do you collect from the nichsei miloig? Can you, in other words, is it meshubit to her chayv? If Baal is a yairish, it is. It's yairish, and it is. If it's a milva, if it's a lekeach, right? The halacha is the lekeach who buys something on a loan that was a milva al peh. Milva bishtar has a coil, And therefore, anyone who buys the land, he should know better. Be careful. You're going to buy the land. There's a lien on this land. That's when there's a shtar announcing it. Where there's no shtar announcing it, just a milva al peh, then not. So the question is, in a milva al peh, how do we view the husband? Do we view him as loikeach? Do we view him as a Yerush? Tremendous nafkamina. Do you have to pay up the milva al peh or not? If he's a Yerush, you have to. If he's what? If he's a loikeach, you do not have to. We're going to end up. We're going to go through a few scenarios. We're going to end up in, as they tell you in Yiddish, vensach. It depends. Okay, Yiddish shaila. Says the Gemara. Now, usually when you bring these shailas in, as I always told you, they're going to bring in the Mishnah to be paished. So, Shalach le'avua bar Geniva, le'rav. Who remembers Geniva? You learn Gittin, Geniva Yotze b'Kailar. Geniva he was Malshin, he was a questionable fellow. He's a Talmud Chacham, but a few places in Shas doesn't speak positively about him. Anyway, Shalach avua bar Geniva le'rava. Yilmedeinu Rabbeinu teach us. Lovsa, the woman before she got married made a halva, al peh. For achla, she ate it up. She didn't have to eat it up because milva like son it, no. For amda, v'nisas, she then got married and brought the chayiv into marriage. Now she dies, and the guy wants to collect from the property. Baal lekeach havi, is the baal considered lekeach and mat, and he doesn't have to pay, or yorish havi, and he does have to pay. Lekeach havi and milva al peh ain't a guy from the kuchos. Is a lekeach milva al peh you don't collect from the kuchos? Idilma yorish havi, perhaps he's a yorish who milva al peh gave min a yarshim, and in milva al peh you would collect what from, and milva al peh you would what go ahead and collect from yarshim. That's the shaila. Amalei. So Rava answered, Avua Barganiva, Tanina. We learned our Mishnah. Nasu Gedoilos, right? If the Gedoilos get married, Yisu Ketanos. Then the Ketanos get married. Now, where are the Ketanos getting their money from, guys? Guys, let's go through this. Outside, let's go through this. A guy dies, he leaves two children, two girls. He leaves two girls, right? So the older one inherits it. Let's say the older girl inherits, and the older girl gets married. Good. Now the Ketanos get married. Where'd they get money from? So they got money l'chayra from who? From the husband of the older sister. So now, if you can get money from that, it must be you're a Yerush. Says the Gemara, my love nasu gedolos lebaal, and yisu ketanis mi baal, and therefore the ketanis can take from the husband. So we see that it's a Yerush, that's a chiyuv that you have to pay up. Loy nisu gedolos lebaal, yisu ketanis lebaal from the estate, and not from the husband, but from the estate. The husband already, you'd have from the estate. It's not a question. You collect from the estate, and there is no and therefore you have no raya that what you are a Yerush, right? Therefore you have no raya, you're a Yerush. Says the Gemara, ini is really so. But Tani Reb Chia, nasu gedolos lebaal, yisu ketanis mi baal. Okay, now you would have a raya that's a Yerush. You would have a raya that's a Yerush, because again, you're collecting from, view a transfer of ownership of the estate. You have the ownership going from the older daughter to a husband, right? So now the question is, if the katana can collect it, then is it bal b'nechsei ishloi Yerush have. But if you can't, bal b'nechsei ishuat is okay. Now, dilma shiny parnasa. Maybe I'll tell you bal b'nechsei ishloi, guys, is in fact what is a lekeach, and still you would collect. You know why? Because shiny parnasa the islay kala. As I said, fellas, why can't you collect from nechasim? Why can't you collect? Because the person who bought it should have known better. That's why bishtar, a kol goes out and says, "Hey, this guy's got a lien on his property." Now, if this got married, this person got married, right? And you notice a younger sister, so a kol goes out. That guess what? That property that she has, that the husband has, be careful. Okay, If you look at Rashbam, Rashbam is in the middle, guys, umeshani. In the countdown from the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lines down. In the middle of the line, 9 lines down, umeshani. La'olam leikeach have. La'olam, I'll tell you, Baal b'nichse ishtai is leikeach. So why can the younger girls collect from that? This is according to the Rabbi that says mi Baal. Mihu, milva bishtarhi. It's equivalent to a milva bishtar, not a milva al peh. High parnosis hakatanis. This that the mefarnes, the katanis are mefarnes, is like a milva bishtar. The shiny parnosis nisuin, different than parnosa of taking care of married women. The islay kola, there's a kol. Ukimilva bishtar damya. Hilkach treifa mimishabde. Since there's a coil, you can go ahead and collect it from mishubadim, from a lien. Might see in afilu miyad lekuches, and you would be able to take it away even from the hands of lekuches. The gasina perek mitzia isha ha'achan sheshibun might see in afilu miyad lekuches the parnasa. They might see in the mizainis. The kol shkein hein min ayarshim. Uloy leim lach like keach have. Well, the Indian loves of yachlam nisis like avina mibal. In other words, in the case of a loan, I said before that she died. It's not correct. She's in the world, but you can't. But Baal b'nichse ishtai, right? Baal b'nichse ishtai. Maybe it's right as like keach, and he wouldn't have to pay up. Over here, why are you paying up? Because this is tantamount to what? To a milva b'shtar. Since what? It's known that the state, the girls are going to be mefanas from the estate. You should have stayed away. Okay, so we weren't paishet the shaila. Rabbi tried to be paishet the shaila from our Mishnah, and we fended off. It's not true. We asked the question from Rabbi, so he made a distinction between what Arnasa and a regular case of halva. Amar Papa Rava. Lav Hainu, is this your shaila, not answer to your shaila, whether Baal b'nichse ishtai is a leikeach or a Irish? Is it not the shalach? Is it not the shalach Ravin Igrisei that Rav sent in his letter? Ravin was, again, he was in Bavel, he went to Eretz Yisrael, and Rabbi Yochanan. We have Kiyasa Ravin, Kiyasa Rav Dimi. Very often they come and report from Eretz Yisrael what happened. Misha Mes. V'niach almana, someone dies, he dies, and he leaves an almana, ubas, and a daughter. Almanasa in nizonis menechasav. Now the daughter inherits the estate, fellas, remember, a woman does not inherit a husband, but a girl does if there's no son, right? So now, the almana, one of the ties of the kasuba is that as long as she doesn't remarry, she goes ahead and is supported from the estate. So now, Nises Habas, the Bas gets married, and she's the only game in town. So now she has let's figure it out, guys. She gets married, she has a husband. If it's a lekeach or yorish, would it impact whether the almana can go ahead and, if it's lekeach, not Yerusha, yes. Okay, very good. So now, Nises Habas, right? Almanasai Nizainis min chasav. She would get sustained from the nechasim that are now owned by the husband. Mesa Abbas, if the bas dies, Amar Rav Yehuda ben Achaisai shel Rabbi Yosi Chanina al Yadi Haya Maisa. This Maisa happened over here and came in front of Amar Chachamim. Almanasai Nizainis min chasav. The almana, she goes ahead what, and she's sustained by the estate. If you're going to tell me Baal b'nichse ishtai Yairish Have. That's why the almana of the dead still goes edwad and supported by the state. Right? If you're going to say like Heachave, a mine is minachasav. So l'chayra, we have Rav Papa. Rav Papa says that what we have a raya from the Igrasa of Ravin that since the almana is nizaynus from the estate, even though now it's owned by the Baal, a Baal b'nichse ishtoi, Yairish Have. Baal b'nichse is Yairish Have. Okay. Yeah, very good. Says the Gemara, Sholach Ravin, Anon lo yadinon, Amar Abaya, Ilav the Sholach Ravin, Anon lo yadinon, meaning the only time you know that this halacha is such is from what? Is from Ravin's message about the almana being Zionist, meaning I have another source. I have a Tanaic source. I have a better source. What's the better source? But Tanan, I have a Mishnah in Masechta B'chayris, Daf Nun Beis on the base. But Tanan, these karkas she'ein chaysin the ba'aleim b'yovel. We know in yovel the stay achusa goes back. These are the karkos that don't go back. Habechayra, the chelik of the bechayra that he has in nichsei aviv, we don't view it as if he bought it and it goes back. It doesn't go back. V'hayirish is ishtay, and someone who goes to bat and inherits his wife. Now, this time you're going to tell me Bal b'nichsei ishtay like keach ave. Then, in fact, what? If you can tell me Yirish ave, I can understand why it doesn't go back. But if you're going to tell me that what? Bal b'nichsei ishtay like keach ave, why doesn't it return in yovel? Why does it not return in yovel? So l'chor you have a raya. Amalei Rava, the hash the shalach mi adinon, and even now. So Abaya said what? Abaya agreed with the raya of Ravin of the Almana. He just questioned, why do I need it? Rav is going to say that the ageris of Rav Avin wasn't correct. In other words, you don't even have a raya from the Almana and the Zionis that what? That Bal b'nichsei ishtay Yirish have. Again, Abaya was maskim that Bal b'nichsei ishtay is a Yirish. The question is, why do we need it if we have this mission in Bechairis? Rav is saying more. Rav is saying the raya from Ravin is not even a good raya. Amle Rava, v'hashle the sholach mi adinon. Now that he sent it, do we really know? V'ha'amar Rav Yosi bar Chanina v'ushi eskinu ha'isha shemachra nechsei miloik b'chayi baila u'meisa and consequently dies habal maitzi miyad al-kuchais. The Baal is Maitzi Miyad al-Kuchis. So now we know that Konasusha, that the Bezdin went to Usha, and they made many takanas. Alivasa Yosim Chaimish is one of the more famous ones. Don't give up more than that. And we know that if Baal owns the Kenyan Paris, his wife sells it, consequently dies, right? He gets first dibs. Baal b'nichsei ishtay what is a lekeach. So now what? Let's see Rashbam. Yeah. Let's finish the Gemara. So, let's do that one. Rabbanan Mishas Shanisis, when she got married. Mishum Hachi Mafik, he can take it away. The Lekeach Rishon Have. He's the first Lekeach. Eliyamid Bal Benichse Ishta Yirish Have. If the Baal is a Yirish, Mishas Nesuin, Amai Mafik. He became Mishas Yirish at the time of the marriage. Why does he take it? Why does he take it away? Lama tikna beusha she'abal moitzi, v'alei isha shehi mereshes I say machra. V'im b'koyach yorshim liyirish masha machaviyim. Guys, let's say outside, regular case. A man has property, he sells it. Can the yorshim say it's ours? Or is sales a sale? Yeah. Sales a sale, done deal, right? If you're telling me that Baal b'nichsa ishtoi Yorish have, he's a Yorish, how in the world is he able to get it back? How's he able to get it back? She had every right to sell it. He's a Yorish, in other words, but he wasn't. She had every right to sell it, and therefore she dies. Tough luck. So you have a raya over here that Baal b'nichsa ishtoi, what is a like chaos. So Rav is questioning the raya of what of Ravin. Ravin said unequivocally, Baal b'nichsa ishtoi Yorish have, or else why does Almana? Now, we're going to have to answer up all of these because they're contradictory. But I'm just saying, you said unequivocally for sure, since the Almana is Nizainis min Nechasim, why is the Almana Nizainis min Nechasim? Obviously, because why? Because it's a Yairish, not a Lekeach. So 1 second, I disagree with that. Why? How in the world could the Rabbanan and Usha be mitaken that the Baal would go ahead and get first dibs? If he's a Yairish, she had every right to sell it, and it's gone. Oh, you have to say Baal b'nichsa ishtoi. Like so let's see inside. Says the Gemara. Amalei Rava v'hashta the shalach mi adina that Baal b'yishta is a Irish. I v'amar Rabbi Yosef v'chanina v'ushi eskino isha shemachra nichsei miloi b'chayi bailu mesa Baal mitzim yad l'kuchais. And therefore, what do you have to conclude, guys? What do you have to conclude that Baal b'nichsei ishta is like have? Okay, so now we have a few different places. We have different dinim. Our first Mishnah, we wanted to say that it's a Yorish. We said you have no raya from our Mishnah, right? Because it's speaking about Dawat. Maybe it's a Milva Bishtar. We have the case of Ravin. Right? We have the case of Ravin. So that says the Gemara. Alom Ravashi. Baal Shavi Rabbanan ki Yairish, Shavi Rabbanan ki Lekeach. It depends. Sometimes the Baal is like a Yairish, and sometimes the Baal is like what? Like a Lekeach. The Hechi the Tavel who of the lay. Whatever is better for them, that's what they do. That's what they do. Whatever works better for them. So therefore, you had a Mishnah. Abaya said, "Why do we need Ravin? We have a Mishnah in Bechayris that says it doesn't revert to him in Yovel, right? That it doesn't leave. Why doesn't it leave? Because what? Because it's a Yairish. It doesn't go back because he's a Yairish." Says the Gemara, the Hechid the Tabilay of the lay. Gabe Yovel by the Mishnah in Bechayris Yovel. Shavir Rabbanon ki Yairish. They made him like a Yairish in Nichsa Ishtay, and therefore it doesn't go back to Hayarshim. It doesn't go to Hayarshim, remains by him. That's his favor, right? He's keeping the land. He's keeping the land, guys. He's keeping the land. Why? Because that's for his betterment. In order for him to keep the land, we have to make him into a Yairish rather than a Lekeach. So we'll make him into a Yairish. Good. Mishum B'Seidadi Day. Ulagabe, the Rabbi Yossi Reb Chanina, where a woman sells Minachse Miloig, right? Guys, we'll make him into Lekeach. Like this, he'll be able to get first dibs on the property and get it back. Therefore, Shavir Rabbanon ki Lekeach. About Minachse Ishtay, or else he'd lose it. Like this, he'll go ahead and keep it. Mishum B'Seidadi Day. Okay? Now, Legabe the Ravin, right? Mishum Pseidid Almana Shavir Rabbanan ki Yairish, and by Almana, because the Pseida of the Almana will go ahead. You know, the kasher is it's not to his betterment. No, for the Pseida Almana, we'll treat him as a Yairish. We'll treat it as a Yairish. V'hogabe the Rabbi Yossi b'Chanina adika Pseida l'kuchais the Shavir Rabbanan ki Lekeach. In other words, mashma. When he has to gain, it's one thing, but it's at somebody else's expense. So it's at the expense of the almana. We made it into a yairish. Over here, it's at the expense of the other people, the guy who bought the land. The Ida taking the loss now because he's getting it back. Says Gemara Haslam inu afsidu anafshayu. As Rabbi said, they took a chance and they lost. Kivin the ikabal leiboy leilemizmen meissa. Don't ever buy a piece of land from a woman. The Yasva Tute Gavra that's sitting underneath what? A man. What do you know? You know that Baal B'Nichsa Ishtay, you're going to lose it. So in other words, tough luck. So therefore, Rav Ashi beautifully says it depends. And then answer to the Shaila, whichever is for the betterment of the Baal, as long as it's at the expense of somebody else, right? We'll say Baal B'Nichsa Ishtay is what is like Keach or a Yerish. Hajnacha Yeshleichlin, Hajnacha Yeshleichlin, Hajnacha Yeshleichlin. Okay, we'll pick it up here tomorrow.